Well, as you can see, I'm not my wife, and she's not sneezing. She's not coughing. I am. She's not. She's actually at a wonderful place right now, having fun with my grandson, my son, and my daughter-in-law, and so I miss them so much. Well, back to the show. Okay, we are doing reflections for a few minutes. Hopefully you will enjoy this program. And so the question is, Monica, did you come up with anything for the show?
It's been a crazy week and a crazy morning so far. So that is kind of like a no.
Okay, I want you guys to come up a little bit farther to the front. Just pull up, okay. Now I can stand, squat a little bit. Okay, I'm off stage. You guys are on stage. That's working. Okay, I can see the monitor. It is. Okay, so I'm going to talk to both of you guys. Let's see if we can shift. Hold on. Okay, Diana, say something for a minute.
Hey, great depth of field thing you've got going there. And good morning, everybody. Glad to be with you again. I know many of you are probably thinking, damn, she's like a bad nickel. We can't get rid of her, but here I am.
No, I'm sad I missed last week's show and didn't get to. I'm sad I missed last week's show and didn't get to talk with you during it.
Well, it looks like we're going to get to talk now, so that's going to be a good thing.
Okay, so
Last week's show was a wonderful thing.
So the question is, what is the most amazing thing that you came up with, actually, for the show?
What did you come up for air for?
Did you come up for air? Okay. I can't talk, but you can. You're great at it.
Well, first of all, I was going to ask how everyone's week had went because, that's a time filler, obviously, with us because we can ramble on. Mine was busy taking care of Mom and running with the kids. And, honey, how'd your week go?
It was a pretty good week. Been spending some time trying to build my freelance company back up. Semantics Multimedia, by the way, if you need any website design or illustration work done, I'm your man. And that's going okay. Trying to get the bills paid, the ends met.
And we celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary on Thursday. Well, we had our 15th wedding anniversary on Thursday, and we somewhat have celebrated it every day a little bit.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Hey. Okay, they tell me that this shot of me is the best. So, yeah. The backside. Okay, my hair's too long. I haven't had a haircut in a few days. When it comes to the topics that are on your mind as opposed to everyone else, what seems to be the number one topic these days for you?
Probably family and having to care for my mom a lot lately has really brought into perspective the kind of the cycle of how life is. So
You actually care for your mother?
I have been having to care for her, and I do care for her and love her.
Let's start all over again. You actually love your mom?
Yes, I do love my mom.
Are you sure about that?
Very sure.
How do you know?
Well, I tell you what, the things I have to do for my mom, I wouldn't do for anybody if I didn't love them. I guarantee you that.
Okay, what is your justification for your love for your mother?
I don't wipe many people's ass I don't love, so just saying.
Okay.
Rhonda would be like, oh my gosh.
Okay, now we're getting this thing going. Okay, reflections. You're on the show with my wife all the time. What do you guys actually reflect?
A lot of times we talk about current events and things that we've dealt with or things that we've seen that have popped up. A lot of times it's a good news type thing where when we see good news, we like to talk about it, reflect on it, share it with each other, share it with the few people that might watch our show.
Did you see that pug puppy that popped out of that Happy Meal in the middle of the week?
I told you not to talk about that in front of the children.
Just talking about current news. There's a pug puppy that popped out of a Happy Meal.
That'll work. Okay. So, What's topic number 2 that you came up with?
Well, it's been interesting this week. Having had my mom in my home, I also do volunteering at my kid's school. So I brought my mom along for one of the work days to get ready for the school dance at my daughter's school. And we got a lot of work done. We had a lot of laughs with her, and I've learned that she might need a filter in some situations. Just saying. So,
Tell about the karate.
Oh, we were at karate yesterday, and
Your mom was with you at karate?
yes, we took her so she could watch her grandson play karate or do karate. And the teacher remarked that you had to do a hammer strike to the groin for groin hit. And when my mom heard groin hit, she said, "Holy shit, groin hit." And I said, "Mom, it's a children's class." She said, "I don't care. She said groin hit. Holy shit." It was just hilarious, so she's very childlike. And
Later, we had her play the part of the kicking mannequin. Yeah.
Your mother-in-law played the part of the kicking mannequin?
Step in as the kicking mannequin.
What do you think about that, Daryl? I mean, come on, something's wrong here? I mean, Joey's using his mother-in-law as the kicking mannequin?
I would never. I just subjected all the children practicing their karate kicks. At one point, she played the board. You chop the board in half.
How many times did they kick your mom?
only once or twice. She kicks back.
Each.
Did the instructor kick her?
No.
Did he want to kick her?
Well, it was a she this week because Mr. Pete's in the hospital. So, Mr. Pete, I hope you're feeling better.
Did your mother kick back?
She did kick back.
How many of the children were wounded?
Well, since we got her toenails clipped, none of them were wounded.
How long did it take to trim her toenails?
I didn't have that job. We take her to the salon. We need professional help there.
Did y'all have to take out a loan to get that done?
No.
They had to hire a pipe fitters helper to get out a grinder.
What do you think about what's going on so far, Diana?
This talk about kicking is intriguing. I almost wish I could have been there to see it.
We promised she wasn't used as a kicking dummy. She just sat and watched the performance or not performance, but the class, and watched them practice their moves. And they did a lot of workup stuff that they do on Saturdays. They jump rope, do sit-ups and push-ups, and they did wheelbarrows and jumping jacks, and then they.
Your mother did a wheelbarrow?
No, not my mother. No.
She was just the kicking dummy.
No, she just sat and watched.
Now, the Karate Kid you're speaking of, is that Gavin?
Yes, that's Gavin. He is a
Is he up
first-degree
for a
junior black belt. I mean, he's a first-degree junior brown belt, and he will be a black belt when he's able to test for that. He's got to learn some more moves and come up with a thesis for his black belt test. But it probably will be, I think Mr. Pete said, within 6 months.
All power to him.
Yep.
Is Daryl there?
That's the junior level.
I'm here.
Okay, I wanted to know how you felt about Monica's mom being used as a kicking dummy in a sense.
Well, if she's okay, then I'm wondering about Mr. Pete. Was he the kicking dummy last week? And because he said he was in the hospital, I didn't know what kind of shape he might be in.
Well, he was not the kicking dummy. He's having some health issues and right now is in the hospital. So.
Do all the children who take karate, do they resent your mom?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, that's good. Okay. We love you, Mother, much in every way. I'm just teasing, and you're the kind of person you can tease with, and so that's wonderful.
She's.
Go for it.
We also love my mother-in-law, but she has definitely got it coming. This is karma. We love her. She's been a good mom, but she's done plenty to have a little bit of ribbon coming. Wouldn't you say, honey?
Yeah, and I mean, if we can't laugh at the situation, it would probably.
Yeah, it's the only thing that makes it, our current circumstances tolerable.
But you're saying this as if we love her,
Yeah, me too. You know.
He loves her because I love her.
I mean,
how it is with
when you walk up to someone and you say,
Let me
Yeah,
let me tell you something. The
I love you.
The amount of care that Monica has shown and given to her mom, and patience and kindness that she's given to her, is truly a testament to how much she loves her mom. And you know, this is a public show, so I'm not going to get into details as to why it is such a testament. But she has shown herself to be a wonderful mother in the way that she is a mother to her mother.
Okay, I get why you're bragging about Monica. You do worship her and praise her forever. I get that. Do the same thing for your mother-in-law.
Yeah. I mean,
This
I don't. First of all, I don't know her like Monica knows her, so I'm sure that Monica can tell you all of her good.
You're backing away from the question. Come
Everybody
on,
has faults.
just simple.
And I feel like sometimes that's all that I know about her.
Well, you know how it is when you have somebody in your life that like aggravates you and stuff like that, and you don't always run into.
We're talking about your mother, and you're talking about aggravation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, back to what I was saying. When someone aggravates you or makes you mad or does something that bothers you, you don't always run and tell every good little thing that happened. Sometimes you do, but you're really bound to talk to somebody about those aggravating qualities or the things that he's heard it over the
That's
years.
all. That's all I've heard. It's just how mad her mom's made her over the years. So I have a
I've
personal
created a
bias
problem.
about my mother-in-law for sure. But I support her in support. I mean, obviously, Monica. I mean, she could just say, "Well, I'm not going to take care of her." But it says something about the nature of who she is that she's stepped in and been kind, very 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 kind to her mother.
But it almost sounds like you're
Has
saying,
been a mother to her mother that her mother was not to her.
this reminds me,
Say that. Yeah.
Sure.
Anyways, it's too late.
this reminds me of being in a church in this sense. Someone gets up and says, I was unworthy, I was unclean, I was sinful. I didn't deserve the mercy and the grace of God, but I got it anyhow.
Yeah.
And so it's by grace. Are you saying that you're doing this out of grace because she doesn't deserve it?
Grace through faith, plus nothing.
Well, I mean, there's been stages in life where mom was like very caregiving towards us, of course, when we were small children. And then as we grew up and different times in her life, she's gone through different things and, you know, it hasn't been the best of times, hasn't been the best relationship or the most caregiving. And so, you know, I mean, I'm not doing it because, like, she doesn't deserve it or anything like that. I don't feel like that. I feel like it needs to be done. She's my mom. And so it's being done,
Yeah.
you know, and I do love her and care about her. And
Gotta keep her head straight about this. Yeah.
What's the thing that you like most about your mother-in-law?
Well,
Give me the top 10 reasons.
top 10, that's going to be a struggle. But she can't have.
Why are you laughing, Monica?
it's just funny.
She can have a good sense of humor, and you know she enjoys going and watching her grandson do karate, and she enjoys going and watching her granddaughter do dance, and I mean she wants to be a part of the family, but she has some social handicaps. She struggles with having a certain level of patience that it takes to engage too long term with a family environment. Wouldn't you say?
Well, a lot of that has to do now with the dementia issues and stuff.
You wouldn't say it's exasperated by that?
Well, it's probably exasperated by it. I mean, in the past, I mean, there's been periods of times where she's very, very family, you know, all about family, but then there's been times where it's all about Mary. So.
Yeah, and I think that she has had a certain way of living over her life that has really caused her to suffer a lot now, because she doesn't know where she is half the time, and she doesn't know who her family is half the time, and so she's just sort of left in this bubble, in a sense, that she's created for herself all her life, that is not a very comfortable one to be in.
So many people are going through things like that. Just, it's a very challenging situation. Yes, it is. Daryl, what say you when it comes to caring, that is, for our parents, especially when they're going through situations that are very difficult? For instance, anytime that a person gets dementia or whatever, it seems like things are so different that it's challenging, namely to the children.
Well, I think it really puts us to the test as far as, do we really care? And I guess, and to a certain degree, we may not have a lot of control over that. We may do out of feeling of obligation or responsibility, and I think that's good. I think we should take that responsibility and take the initiative. But hopefully, and I think best case scenarios, we really do care, and we demonstrate that by bearing with them, possibly, hopefully, somewhat in reciprocation for the times they bore with us. I know I can certainly say that about myself. I probably wasn't the ideal child, but my mom bore with me, and I know she's always cared about me and thinks much of me. And when I know she needs something or there's something I can do to help her or encourage her, I want to be there for her. So,
What are your thoughts on this, Diana?
I'm actually envious of you folks. I wish that I could have had parents for whom I could care. I mean, I tried, I really did. But over the years, I mean, not just at the end, but over the years, they demonstrated that was not where they were coming from. I attempted to show affection and was actually spurned when I was a young child, and that really hurt. And back when they were still talking to me, there was a point when she put the question to me, what would you think about moving in with us and taking care of us? And I actually felt kind of bad, because my first thought was, oh, hell no. You're going to take what life I've built for myself away from me, just as you did back then. And yeah, that hurt a little bit. Well, it hurt a lot, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to make this all about me, but it's kind of unfortunate. I envy you guys for having the relationships that you talk about. I am very glad you have them, and I hope that they continue.
Yeah, I mean, there's many sides to these scenarios. There's many perspectives, and I mean, Diana, you talk about how your parents spurned your affection, and I'm sure that many children have felt that from their parents from time to time. You probably felt it from time to time when you were younger from your mother. Am I wrong?
We had times where there were issues and stuff. I wouldn't really say spurned. It was more of she made known that she didn't like things that I was doing or whatever, and there were times that she put the distance there because, I wasn't meeting her expectations on helping her or doing things for her or things like that, and.
Yeah, and I would call that. I mean, from the stories that you told me, and her just ingratitude and this before she started showing signs of dementia, that I would feel spurned if I was in your shoes. And when I was younger, I can remember a little bit of that from certain other parents. But I would say that we all struggle with the pain and hurt within ourselves as we get older, and one of the big challenges as you have children is finding a way to heal and hoping that you can heal fast enough to where you don't pour too much out of that out on your children. You can hold it in, but it's gonna kind of squeak out from time to time like a release valve, and if you're not careful, it can come out on your children, and it can make them feel that way. And boy, I mean, and I'm not, I would have to say that I'm guilty of that. But you really have to, as a parent, you have to find a way to cover over that with what is good, so that that isn't what they remember. That's the exception and not the rule. Yeah, I mean, it's the human condition to grow up and be hurt, often deeply, have deep, I would call them spiritual wounds, and then to find a place of healing and try so very hard not to pass those along to your children.
Yeah, I try to find justifications. I try to find reasons. In her case especially, I don't know if she ever learned what affection was, and that may have been the problem there. Her father died when she was 8 years old. She was raised, by a single mother who was working all the time to support the kids. She was never around. And that may have, and by the way, as far as I can pick up, was rather authoritarian, heavy disciplinarian. And okay, that may have had some effect. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to him, but in either case, I'm sitting here and wondering, could they have learned later in life what affection was? I mean, St. Gulick knows I'm trying. I don't know how far I'm getting, but it's just unfortunate that they can no longer do that. I mean, they no longer exist. He died.
You still feel the pain, but you forget where it comes from, and so you become less capable of dealing with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I use the word forgive. I may have a slightly different usage of that term. I'm not pardoning them.
I said as you get older, you still feel the pain from those wounds, but you forget where those wounds came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I misheard.
Yeah, and it becomes hard to deal with it because you forget the reason.
Yeah, and it is difficult for me to forget because a lot of the scenarios that went on were rather dramatic, to say the least. But I'm trying to integrate what was happening then into what I'm feeling now, and trying to take, in the words of Dr. Jones, I'm trying to take another axis.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm doing it right or not. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
So many times I think that I don't know if the word lose is the best word or not, but so many times that we become disconnected from people we love. One of the things that we were talking about in the last show was you're in the church, you develop a lot of friendships with this one and that one, and then when you walk away from the doctrine because you don't want to hear that day in and day out, it's like those friendships are just completely disconnected. And when you see the very people you went to church with for many, many years, it's like you have become, in a sense, a foreigner to them. And so, relationships are wonderful when they are truly connected. But once once the disconnection sets in, that is tragic. And I guess my point is with walking away from church is in this sense. How can I walk away from something that I knew was hurting me and yet sustain my friendship with people? That's a very complicated thing to do simply because it appears, and this is just the way that I interpret it, I think that some people love me because I agreed with their doctrine, and it was all about how much I was tethered to that. And so I don't think that it was an authentic relationship with many people that I was around, and I'm glad after walking away from the ism, I found myself confronted with accepting something that's a little bit more authentic, and that's difficult to
One
do.
of the few ways that you have to find real honesty about who your friends are, because it's not that, there's a lot of fake friendships out there that or maybe a better word is synthetic. I mean, it's not like people are faking it. They feel like they're your friend, and it's not so sinister that they're trying to trick you or anything like that. They don't really. Your friendship hasn't been put to the test. They don't really know yet, even though they probably haven't even asked themselves the question: what is it that they love about you? Is it you, or is it just some aspect of you? Is it a misperception of you? And I find that. That also that people are sensitive about, like, even if they are aware that, like, there's something about you that they don't quite like, but they want to get along with you, you're in their circle, that they don't necessarily have the means to express that to you honestly. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to do that, nor may it necessarily be appropriate. And so cutting through all these social barriers that keep you from understanding who your friends truly are, it can be challenging. And I find that one of the most effective ways, even if even beyond just like stepping away for some moral reason, in the case of religion, for example, that sometimes just stepping away from a group for a while, just stepping back and then coming back to it later can really show you some honesty about who your friends are. To change the dynamic a little bit, you can start seeing, well, there's a consistent relationship here no matter what I do, so there's something worth investing in here. So I think that can be painful, but it often is healthy.
I don't know if either one of y'all have ever heard it, but there was a poem or something that I saw at one time, and it was talking about some friendships and stuff are just seasonal friendships. They're friendships that are meant to come in for a period of time in your life, and right. Depending on, like, if you're at a job or you're involved with certain things, and they're only meant to be there for that time, and then it's like you move on, they move on. And, and some friendships are ones that are true friendships, and they build and they grow over a lifetime or years. And I have friends that, we were super close when we were young. I don't see them or talk to them that often. Most of them I've connected back with on Facebook. But I know that, say I was going through something and I needed to contact them, I'm sure that they would try to help me, and they're the best they could. If I saw them again, we could probably pick up kind of where we left off. But then there are other people that I'm just, it's more of like, like I said, just through a season. And then there's others that have stood the test of time.
Daryl, your final words, and we're out of here. We're out of time.
Well, one thing to go back to what Diana was sharing, something that I feel like softens the blow and possibly eases the pain is just, and she referred to it, and I think that's very wise, is understanding what people are, as they can, understanding what people really have to work with and what they don't have. We're all fashioned a certain way by our circumstances and what we've experienced and what has come our way during our lifetimes. And I think many just never really get in touch with the tender side of life, or understand what it is to build a true relationship. And therefore, it doesn't happen for them. And it's not to as the word that she used, to pardon someone, but it's to understand maybe their inabilities, and what they had to work with, and what wasn't there for them. And I think many times, possibly most of the time, that is the case. And in the case of church and relationships that are built there, I think for the most part, there's really a shallowness. And we've experienced since we've become uninvolved, so to speak, in Christianity, in the Christian narrative, we can relate to people as people. And as far as our conversation goes, maybe we can't go as far as we'd like to, and just the things we like to talk about and the things that are dear to our hearts. But we can relate to them nonetheless as people that we care about, and let them know that we do care, we are interested. And that was something, to be quite honest, I wasn't very good at when I was locked into, the idea that you've got to think this way, you've got to have done this. If you're not one of the haven't given your heart to Jesus, for example, I can't really relate to you, and that sort of thing. And that's I think that's what a lot of times hinders our relationships, is if you're not like me and run the course that I have, then that's where it ends. But to me that's so shallow, and there's much more to be gone after than just that sort of thing. I mean, obviously, we've all had different experiences and different exposures in our lifetimes, and so I don't know. It's well, that's what is meaningful to me these days. Is just people, and right where they're at. Yeah.
That's very good. We're out of time, so we're out of here. Goodbye.